With a crash, the husband threw a cup to the ground, yelling at the nosy neighbors who were peeking through the window. Inside, his wife, a respected doctor, stood there shocked and silent. She felt betrayed not just by her husband, but by her own daughter. It turned out she had just found out that her husband spent their entire life savings on a fancy double burial plot for himself and his first love. What she didn't know was that a powerful billionaire had just taken a special interest in her. Earlier that day, the chairman of the Wansheng Group, Zhao Zhili, had to personally drive his secretary to a small village clinic after the secretary got bad stomach pains. That's where he met Dr. Bai Yuan. The secretary rudely demanded treatment, saying he had appendicitis. The chairman was doubtful of the simple clinic. He asked if she could even make a correct diagnosis without any real equipment. But Dr. Bai was not bothered. With just a few simple presses on the secretary's stomach, she calmly said it was just common gastroenteritis. She explained that if it were really appendicitis, pressing on his McBurney's point would have made him scream in pain. The chairman was amazed by her skill. Other patients in the clinic agreed, praising Dr. Bai as a miracle worker. They said she never needed fancy machines and worked tirelessly all year as the village's only doctor. The chairman was fascinated by this skilled and kind woman. He wondered about the man lucky enough to be her husband. But when Dr. Turnigan to experience, Bai got home that night, she didn't find a loving husband. Instead, she found a lazy drunk lying on the couch surrounded by beer cans and cigarette butts. Her husband, Sun Jinwei, complained about her being a poor village doctor and ordered her to make dinner. As she cleaned up the mess, she found a package. Inside was a purchase contract for a burial plot costing $200,000. She was horrified to see the names on it were her husband's and his old flame's, Han Baoping. With shaking hands, she called the cemetery. The salesperson congratulated Mrs. Han on her husband's purchase. The salesperson even read the message the husband had requested. It talked about 40 years apart, a love too deep for words, 100 years of true love, and reigniting a first love. The doctor confronted her husband and he shamelessly admitted it. He yelled about wasting his life by marrying a woman he didn't love. He declared his only wish was to be buried with the one he truly cared for. In the middle of their fight, their daughter Mingzhu arrived. But instead of supporting her mother, she accused her mother of embarrassing the family. She screamed that a divorce at age 55 would make them a joke and cause her to lose face with her in-laws. She even cruelly reminded her mother that with her own parents gone, she had no family home to return to. As her other daughter tried to comfort her, their son called from a construction site. Hearing what was happening, he got very angry. He told his mother to wait for him to come home and deal with the shameless father. Meanwhile, miles away in his fancy office, the chairman couldn't stop thinking about the village doctor. He handed his assistant her prescription and gave a simple order to find out everything about her. Han Baoping rushed in. To the shock of the whole family, she fell to her knees in front of the doctor, begging for forgiveness. She claimed she never meant to break up their family. She praised the husband as a good man who had been lonely and miserable in a loveless marriage. She even told the doctor to feel sorry for him. The husband immediately ran to her side, blaming his wife for everything and saying Han Baoping was innocent. Furious, the wife told them both to get out. The husband screamed that he had already put up with over 30 years with a woman he didn't love. He said he had the right to find his own happiness. He then grabbed his belt, ready to hit his son for calling him a bad man. The doctor jumped in front of her son, but it was the first love who stopped the husband. She begged him not to ruin his own life. Finally, the doctor said they would get a divorce. She laid out her terms. The house, the car, and all their savings would be split in half. He must also return the money he spent on the burial plot. The husband, feeling trapped, threatened to go to court. But his daughter-in-law reminded him that if he did, he would be exposed for cheating and would likely lose everything. With that, they went to the civil affairs office and signed the papers. Outside, the now ex-husband bragged about finally being free before driving off. The doctor's loyal son arrived to pick her up. He announced he was taking her to celebrate her new life. What the doctor didn't know was that on this very tour, her life was about to change forever. Her son had secretly booked her a trip, telling her to relax and meet new people. Though she was unsure, he pushed her onto the tour bus. He explained that the money was non-refundable. On the bus, another passenger complimented her on her handsome and caring son. As the doctor smiled, she spotted a familiar fancy car parked outside. It was the same one from the village clinic. Inside, the chairman's secretary noticed the tour bus. He suggested that his boss could also go on a trip to relax. On the tour bus, the chairman, who had decided to take a vacation himself, was surprised to see the village doctor. He walked over to her and they made small talk. When he got carsick, she showed him how to press a point on his wrist to feel better. Her gentle touch sent a shock through him. When they arrived at their destination, a young woman on the tour offered to be his companion. But he politely said no, stating he already had a partner, and walked over to the doctor. He spent the day with her, acting as her personal photographer. He even lay on the ground to get the perfect picture. For the first time in years, the doctor felt beautiful and cared for. Meanwhile, back at home, her ex-husband sat among a mess of beer cans. His first love arrived with the news that the doctor was on a trip. Scrolling through her social media, she found the photos the chairman took. She was filled with jealousy. He greedily ate all 3 crabs she had bought, not leaving her a single piece. When she asked why, he just sneered that since he had peeled them, he deserved to eat them. But at that very moment, in another life, a handsome man was carefully peeling a giant king crab. He placed every last piece of tender meat into her bowl. While her husband at home complained about money, this man simply told her to enjoy the meal. He insisted the expensive meal was nothing. On their tour bus, he smiled gently as a guide talked her into singing for the crowd. She sang a beautiful, heartfelt song. He watched her with pure admiration. When she finally fell asleep, he quietly took her ticket and placed it on her forehead to shield her eyes from the sun. This was a kindness she had never known. Back in her miserable home, her husband had dismissed her dreams of a vacation. He called it a waste of money after she found photos of another woman traveling on his phone. He had cruelly told her she was as boring as the noodles she always cooked. But with the other man, life was like a movie. He led her through a park where golden leaves fell like rain. Her husband stormed into the market stall. Grabbing the shirt from his wife's hands, he screamed at her for wasting money on a cheap 3.5, but in a different life, a man stood by her side, gently taking the clothes from her. He smiled and told her the outfit looked perfect on her. He encouraged her to buy it since they were on vacation. The seller, thinking they were a couple, offered a discount. At the night market stall, the woman, used to a life of saving money, expertly bargained the price down from $200 to $80. She used her trusted tactic of walking away. The seller, desperate for a sale, finally gave in. After their trip, the woman returned home to her son and daughter-in-law. She excitedly showed them photos from her vacation. But just as she was sharing a picture of a magnificent king crab, a call came through. It was her daughter inviting her to a fancy dinner. Later, her son drove her to a luxurious hotel. As she stepped out of the car, she saw her husband. He wasn't in his usual dirty jacket. Another woman was holding his arm, celebrating their 40th anniversary. It was the same woman from the travel photos. At that moment, her son walked over and revealed the truth. The woman his father was with had been his mistress since she was 15. The daughter tricked her mother by setting up a blind date at an expensive restaurant. Panicked, the mother tried to leave. But the daughter insisted she stay for her sake, as the man was her boss's friend. When the man arrived, she was shocked to see it was the same kind stranger from her tour. What she didn't know was that he was actually the billionaire chairman of her son's company. He had overheard locals talking about her blind date and rushed over. Meanwhile, the retired man she was supposed to meet was stopped by the chairman's assistant. The assistant showed a business card that left the man shaking in shock. At dinner, the chairman learned that the woman was a simple village doctor. He also learned her son worked as a construction foreman at his company. Pretending to be a low-level retiree himself, he listened as she worried about her children's hard lives. The next day, the chairman, having seen her simple home, called his assistant. He gave a new command to promote her son to manager. The man grabbed a shovel and chased him down the street. He screamed that he would kill him for daring to bully his sister. It turned out the man running for his life was the woman's ex-husband. He had shown up just moments after she moved into the village health clinic. He had heard she was living alone and came to mock her. He sneered that her son must have kicked her out. He made fun of her about how pathetic her life had become since their divorce. The woman simply turned her back and walked inside. What he didn't expect was for her sister-in-law to suddenly appear and throw a basin of water on him. Then her brother arrived, his face filled with anger. He promised to make the ex-husband pay for bothering his family. Only then did she realize the full story. What her ex-husband didn't know was that her life was about to change. A wealthy chairman stepped out of his Rolls-Royce and walked into a small village clinic. He complained of a runny nose and a headache. The doctor, a kind woman in a white coat, diagnosed him with a common cold. But what she did not know was that this man was not sick at all. He had come with a secret purpose. He handed her a cheap plastic bag, saying it was a gift he bought on the roadside. The woman opened it and was stunned to find a priceless deer antler inside. She tried to refuse the expensive gift, but the man insisted she keep it to boost her immune system since she was always around sick people. He then paid for his medicine and quickly left. It turned out this was the man she had met on her recent blind date. His son, the director of the education bureau, had been desperately trying to find him for days. When he finally confronted his father, the chairman coldly told him to mind his own business and take better care of himself. The son watched his father leave, suspecting he was having a late-life affair. Earlier that day, the chairman had his assistant prepare the 200,000 yuan deer antler as a gift. The assistant was confused when the chairman took the expensive item out of its fancy box and put it into a common plastic bag. The chairman simply explained that this was the effect he was looking for. Meanwhile, the woman's ex-husband was sitting with some villagers when he saw the Rolls-Royce drive away. The villagers gossiped that a handsome, rich man from the city had been visiting the doctor for several days. They guessed that he had fallen for her. They mocked the ex-husband, saying he was a fool for letting such a good woman go. This made him very angry. He realized his ex-wife was already seeing someone else, just days after their divorce.